Hello, grade 9s. This is solving three-step equations. Suggest if you haven't learned the solving one-step or two-step that you go on to do that. So here's the first example. We have 3, then in brackets, x plus 8 equals negative 20. So from previous lessons, you remember that this means multiply. And what happens is this number will multiply not only the x, but it will also multiply the positive 8. So then we can rewrite this as 3x plus 24 equals negative 20, right? So from here, this is a two-step equation, what I call anyway. So here's we have our equal sign. So what we want to do is get rid of the negative 24, positive 24. So how we do that is add its opposite, which is negative 24. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other, which cancels that out because that's a zero pair now, right? So we're left with 3x is equal to negative 44. And we want to divide both sides by 3. Do the opposite of times. This is a times 3. Do the opposite, divide 3. Whatever I do to one side, do to the other. Cancel those out. So we're left with x equals 2. We can leave this as a fraction. However, it is what we call improper. So we want to make it a mixed number, which is 14 1/3 negative. And that is the value of x. All right. So next example, let's try this one. So we have 16 equals negative 4 bracket 2x plus 1. So again, this will multiply. This is multiply. It will multiply this and also that, positive 1. So to rewrite this equation, you get 16 is equal to negative 8x subtract 4. Right? Now here's our equal sign. X is on the right side. This is the left, this is the right. Want to get this all by itself, got to get rid of that negative 4, do the opposite, add a positive 4. Whatever do to one side, do to the other. Cancel those out. So we're left with negative 8x on this side is equal to 20 on that side. So now I want to divide both sides by negative 8. So whatever I do to this side, I do to this side. Divide that by negative 8. Okay, cross that out. So on this side we have x equals 2. I'm going to put the negative up top there, so that is negative 20 over 8. But we have to reduce this to by dividing them both by 2. You get negative 10 over 4. Pardon me, I can even go further. Negative 5 over 2. And negative 5 over 2 can be written as 2.5. So the answer is negative 2.5 is equal to x. Or x equals negative 2.5. All right? Okay, this one right here. So we're going to multiply, in this question, 5 will multiply this and also this, right? So 5 multiplies 2x, 5 multiplies 2/3. This one's easy. We know this is 10x. 5 times 2/3, sometimes students, I tell students, come off to the side and do it. So 5 times 2/3, right? Put a 1 under that 5. So that's actually what we have. 5 times 2/3 is 10/3, right? So we're going to add 10/3, and I'm going to leave it improper. And there's a reason why. We only want to change the final answer to mixed numbers, but inside this question here, within the question, leave it as improper. And so that equals 3 over 4. Okay, so now what I do here is we have 10x plus 10/3 is 3/4. We put a 1 under here. And now what I've told students to do in class, we look at the bottom numbers. There's a 1, there's a 3, and a 4. What I want to do is find the lowest common denominator, or the LCD. Okay, so the lowest common denominator means what's the lowest number that all of these will go into? What do they all go into? The lowest. So some students might say, oh, 24. They all go into 24. This is true, but the lowest is 12. They all go into 12. Well, now what you do is you multiply everything by 12, or 12 over 1. Every single part of this equation, you multiply by 12 over 1. When you multiply every part by 12 over 1, you do not change the value of x, but what we're doing is actually, you'll see, we will eliminate the bottom numbers, right? So in other words, we have 10x times 12, and because it's 1 over 1. When we multiply straight ahead. There's no bikini numbers if we remember that. So 10x times 12 is 120x. Plus, because there's a plus sign there, right? Now 10 thirds times 12 over 1. Now remember, bikini numbers are, look for a top and a bottom that I can cancel out. Here's a 3 and a 12. I can cancel that out. I can divide them both by 3. So make that a 1. Make that a 4. Right? So now I just go 10 times 4 over 1 times 1. So the answer is 40 over 1, which is just 40. And that equals to 3/4 times 12. But now here's the bikini numbers, 4 and 12. 4 and 12 both divide by 4, so that's a 1, that's a 3. Now we multiply tops and bottoms. 3 times 3 is 9 over 1. 9 over 1 is 9. So there we have it. We've changed all the fractions. We've gotten rid of them. Now we've just got whole numbers, which is what we want. So here we go. There's an equation. Want to get x by itself, got to add negative 40 to the left. Whatever do to one side, do to the other. Cross that out. We're left with 120x equals 9. Subtract 40, or I just added negative 40. So that's negative 31. So now I want to divide both sides by 120. Divide one, divide the other. Cancel those out. We are left with x equals negative 31 over 120. It's a fraction that does not reduce. So that is the final answer. All right. Okay, next one. So we have 3/5 x plus 3. So we multiply that by that, right? And we get 3/5 x. I like to put the x up with the 3. So instead of 3/5 x, I like to go 3x over 5. And then 3/5 times 3, come off to the side if you can't do this in your head. So we got 3/5 times 3 over 1. So that looks like 9 over 5. Remember to keep it. Equals. We like to change this to an improper fraction. So that's 7 over 2. Put the negative with the 7. There we go. Now we multiply both, all of these parts by the lowest common denominator. What is it that 5s and 2s all go into? 10. So multiply them all by 10 over 1, 10 over 1, 10 over 1. Right? So now we look for bikini numbers. There they are, 5 and 10. They both divide by 5. That's a 1, that's a 2. I might as well keep going. 5 and 10, that's a 1, that's a 2. 2 and 10, that's a 1, that's a 5. They both divide by 2, right? So we're left in this first part with 6x plus 9 times 2 is 18 over 1, which is 18, equals to negative 35 over 1, which is just negative 35, right? So here we are back to a two-step equation. There's our left side, right side. Want to add negative 18 to both sides, so I get rid of that. So we get 6x equals to negative 53. Now I divide both sides by 6, cancel that out. We get x equals to, this is a fraction in lowest terms, negative 53 over 6. It's improper, so we want to make that 8 and 5/6 negative. And that is the final answer for x. All right. I'm going really quickly here, but hopefully you can stop it and rewind it if you need to. All right, here's an equation. Negative x over 6 equals 7 over 8. I have shown a little trick. It's called cross multiplying. So touch numerator to opposite denominator. Numerator to opposite denominator. Now what I do is I multiply the two that are touching. So 8 times negative x is negative 8x. It equals to 7 times 6, 42. And look at that. We've gotten rid of that and we're down to a one-step equation, right? Divide by negative 8, both sides, cross those out. X equals to, put that negative up top. Put that negative up top, so it's negative 42 over 8. This actually will reduce. They both divide by 2, so that equals to negative 21 over 4, but that's improper, so we make that 5 1/4 negative. Final answer. Okay, going quickly here. Okay, here we go. Can I cross multiply? X over 2 divide 3 equals negative 5 over 2. Yes, I can. However, whenever you see a negative out on its own, just slide it up top there. So make that like a negative 5, if you know what I mean. So now I want to cross multiply numerator to bottom denominator, numerator times bottom denominator. So I like to start with the x's. So 2 times x plus 2, if I insert brackets in there, you can see that 2 will multiply x as well as the positive 2. So we get 2x plus 4 equals to 3 times negative 5, negative 15. And here we are down to a two-step equation, which I'm sure you can do, and I won't do that. How about this one here? What I like to do is I tell students, see that bracket? I want to move that, bump it up to the 1. So in other words, I'm going to rewrite this equation 5 over 8 equals x minus 2. When I bump it up to the 1 is kind of like negligent. It doesn't really affect it, so I'll just kind of ignore it and put that over the 3. So here we are, we can cross multiply, right? Numerator, denominator, numerator, denominator. I like to start with the x's. So 8 will multiply again, not only the x, but the minus 2. So we get x, 8x, minus 16 is equal to 15. And from here, I'm sure you can solve it. All right? And finally, last two. I think you're getting the picture here. So change that to a mixed 7 over 6. Sorry, improper. Change it to improper. This one here stays the same. 2, 5 minus x over 3. Now we cross multiply. Now what happens when we cross multiply this with this? What happens is I told my students this number and this number multiply. Don't touch the brackets. So we get 12, 5 minus x equals 21. Now we multiply 12 times 5, 12 times negative x, right? So we get 60 minus 12x equals 21. And I think from here my students can solve it. Finally, this expression here, 2x over minus 8 over 3 equals 6. Put a 1 under there, cross multiply it. And I think from there you'll be fine. Anyways, I'm going to end it quickly, try to keep my videos nice and short. I hope that helps, and I hope your equation solving only got better.